It's been strange. All right. And the strangest part, at least I think, is that people all around are still not paying as much attention as they should. So I found something to help wake them up. Something that I think will help wake them up indeed. And what do you know? If you don't believe me and you're on the left, this comes straight out of the Times Magazine as well. What do you know? What do you know? It's even called The Great Reset, Time 2030. It says it's 2023, and here's exactly how we fixed the global economy. Oh, frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams, Mr. Bigglesworth. What in the blue heck do they think they're doing? Do they want to win or do they want to lose? Are they just counting on us? Are they that into themselves that they're counting on us to be so stupid that we don't see their plan? All right. This is the Gray's Sports Almanac. It's already been going on. It was written in October 21st, 2020. All right. That is over a year ago, just over a year ago. So we've had a year to let some of this stuff come true. They link fear with the virus. They're using the back door. It says the year is 2023. The COVID-19 pandemic has come to an end and the global economy is on the path to recovery. So how did we get here? How did our economy and society evolve to overcome the greatest crisis of our age? You see, they're already writing a novel. This is literal Hollywood nonsense. But some of it may have come true so far, because how would they have known about certain things? It says in an echo of the golden age of capitalism, the period after 1945, when Western nations steered finance towards the right parts of the economy, it became clear that new policies were needed to address climate risks. So in 1945, they were screaming climate change, incentivized green lending, scale up financial institutions, and tackling social and environmental goals, and ban financial sector activity that didn't serve a clear public purpose, right? So the financial sector can no longer make money. It has to have something to do with the social welfare of all the little peons out there. That's great. That's great. You and I and all the other peons out there, I don't want anything from them. Don't they understand that? Get out of my business. Get out of my house. Get out of my computer. Get out of my pocket. Get out of my head. I don't need you. I don't need your bailout. I don't need the government to come to me and tell me how to live my life. But they need you. The elites need you, and the elites want you bad. They should do that Uncle Sam mural that shows Uncle Sam and he's pointing his finger. It's for the military. It says, "We want you. We want you. We want you to come right now and serve." There should be Jeffrey Epstein, like in that American flag kind of vest, but with it open, with his, little crack belly hanging out like a Hunter Biden picture. Maybe it shouldn't even be Jeffrey. It should just be Hunter Biden, right? Hunter Biden wearing that outfit with a sign, with a sign of white powder coming off of his nose. It looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. His shirt's all ripped open and he's shiny. All those people that have been high and up for days, they always look shiny. He looks greasy, right? Ugh, right? And he's like, "We want you. We want you." That's what it should be changed to. That's what our world is becoming. All right. It says they wanted to ban the financial sector. Like I said, they want to ban the financial sector from doing things that don't serve the public. But who gets to determine who serves the public? It says the European Union was the first to take concrete steps in this direction after agreeing in August to a historic 1.8 trillion euro recovery package. And don't ask me to convert that. I'm not going to do it. I don't know. As part of the package, the EU made it mandatory for governments receiving the funds to implement strategies for addressing climate change. You see that? That's how they recover? Climate change? Again, where is the proof? This approach led to a resurgence of new energy-efficient buildings, revamped public transport designed to be sustainable, accessible, and free, and an artistic revival in public squares, with artists and designers rethinking city life with citizenship and civic light at its heart. They literally are imagining, this is them predicting what's going to happen. They're imagining that Europe turned into San Angeles complex. Before the big quake, it was San Andreas, it was Los Angeles and San Diego, and everything fell into the ocean. And now we're in the movie Demolition Man. Oh, where's one get a burger around here, eh? Hey, yo, Demolition Man. I didn't break the law. Hey, wait, that's Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd, I didn't break the law. I am the law. That's Demolition Man, is the one where he's got to go to Taco Bell with a bunch of rich socialists, because all restaurants after the wars, right? What was it? They said after it was after the fast food wars or after the restaurant wars, the only franchise that was to survive was Taco Bell. So now all restaurants are Taco Bell, and now they're in there, and he's basically a conservative sitting around a bunch of socialist lefties, and they're in this foo-foo fancy richy restaurant with this band down in the valley of the giant, the jolly green giant, and he wants to hang himself, and then he has to go fight Dennis Leary. That's what's happening. You're going to make a bunch of people live in the sewers and then rob Taco Bells to eat. That is the socialist future they're imagining. That's what happens when you follow the Build Back Better plan. All right? They're just attacking Trump. They underhandedly attack Trump in this article a bunch. It talks about the U.S. changing its ways after the November 3rd, 2020 election. Joe Biden defeats Donald Trump in a presidential election. The Democrats holding the majority. They change things. They move quickly. They rebuild the frayed ties between America and Europe. They set up a forum. Do you remember when Joe Biden was over in Europe early in his presidency, kissing their butt? Europe is so much better than America. Europe is so much stronger than America. Europe is so much cooler than America. Europe, I wish I was like you, Europe. That's what he did, and it says it right here, except it didn't really have the effect that it wanted him to, or that he wanted it to. Nothing that Biden does has any effect. Nothing. Own nothing and be happy. Own nothing and be happy. That's what they want. That's what the global elites want for you. That is the Great Reset in a nutshell. We are going to take everything from you. We're going to take it from you. We're going to take it from you, and we're going to give $450,000 to illegal immigrants that cross the border. Bold conditions placed on the governance of intellectual property, pricing, and manufacturing of COVID-19 treatments. You see that? Bold conditions placed on the governance of intellectual property. You can't take ivermectin. You can't take hydrochloroquine. It's hard to get all the other stuff. Hard governance placed. Bold conditions were placed on the governance of intellectual property. The government controls who gets medications. You aren't in control of your health, my friend. I'm not in control of my health, my friend. The government is. Daddy Biden, Big Daddy Joey, gets to tell me how I have to live my life, what I have to put into my body, where I go, what I do, how I sleep, how I eat, and where I work. Or else. When the vaccine was ready for distribution, national health authorities worked constructively with a coalition of global health actors led by the WHO and Bill Gates. Look, they just did my job for me. It's over. Look, Bill Gates is right here. It's all here, folks. We're not crazy. We're not all Alex Jones. Alex Jones isn't even crazy. The problem with Alex Jones is he drinks a lot, and then he goes, oh, they're coming, the lizard people, they're going to take the spaceship. If he just kind of sat there and calmly went over a list like I am, they'd be like, that's a little out there, but maybe we'll do some research. I'm just kidding, Alex. I love you. I wish I could be like you. I'm not. But that being said, Alex Jones usually gets proved right. And I think with all the jokes I just made, that's the best compliment I could give him, because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's scary, but true. Bill and Melinda Gates, he talked about baby parts being used. He talked about human animal hybrids in China. It all came out as true. They tried to debunk it on Rogan's podcast, on other places. Nope. Alex Jones was right again indeed. It says that they want Bill and Melinda Gates to use their powers to collectively devise an equitable, that's a racist word right there, equitable global distribution plan. Equitable means they're going to be racist against white people and conservative minorities and make sure they're screwed. That's basically what that means. Whenever you see equity, it means if you're conservative and you're brown, you're evil. And if you're white, you're evil. That's what equity means. They literally, this article, it goes on and on about, oh, Biden, he's the great guy. He saved everything. He fixed everything. None of the stuff about Afghanistan is in here. Obviously, nobody could predict that, but nobody could predict how ridiculously low on oxygen Joe Biden's brain was. Or is he? Like I said, through this whole thing, I don't know if he's really got dementia. I think he's just trying to keep himself out of jail while they play his puppet strings, while he does the bidding of the World Economic Forum, of companies around the world with a vested interest in this, of like that Sampo company and other companies, Amazon's, the Microsofts, right? The World Economic Forum, the Office of Economic Co-Development, whatever, all of these people, all right, all of these folks working together, fantasizing about Joe Biden and his victories. It's sick. It's sick. This is literally, you got like 4 paragraphs before this where they're just pontificating about how glorious Joe Biden is. How glorious. All right. Look, we're going to play some Nostradamus games here. All right. We're going to be Nostradamus. All right. I got the beard for it. Right. Let me get the mustache fixed. Let me just pull that out there. Nostradamus. Here I am. I'm predicting the future. Don't ask me to turn this into quatrains. All right. Those freaking, he will fall. None will rise. Nobody knows, but Biden lies. His hair is gray. His head, it's balding. He really doesn't look like the clown from House of a Thousand Corpses, Captain Spaulding. I don't know. I can't rhyme it. I did the best I could. I tried. That was on the fly. It's not written down here. They just wish for doom. We're going to read the future. This is where they tell us what they're going to do in 2022. All right. They're telling us that bailouts are coming. It says it in here. A crash is coming, folks. It literally says that the economic world starts falling apart right about now. And bailouts are going to come. All right. It says in the summer of 2022. All right. The other major crisis of our age took a turn for the apocalyptic. So next summer, they're saying that the climate breakdown finally lands in the developed world, testing the resilience of social systems. In the Midwest U.S., a severe drought wipes out crops that supplied 1/6 of the world's grain output. People woke up to the need for governments to form a coordinated response to climate change. That, my friends, is called the New World Order. That is one world government. That is the Great Reset. Right there. They are hoping, begging to make a crisis. You heard me. I said make a crisis, because if the climate doesn't actually fall apart, we will have a COVID-19 level news pandemic in 2022 about the climate. COVID-19 was the test to see how we will react. 2022 will be the actual exam. All right. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy stuff. They wish for doom. They dream of doom. If only the climate would explode and they could take over the world that much quicker. They see that they show here ambitious Green New Deal programs come out of this. R&D for sustainable programs is done. Grants and loans to stimulate innovation. Governments try to figure out poverty and inequality. And we rid the ocean of plastics and we reduce the digital divide. Oh my gosh. They're out of their mind. It says the concept of social infrastructure became as important as physical infrastructure for the energy transition. Remember, the Biden $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill is transitioning us to this clean energy, which is garbage, because somewhere something has to generate the electricity. It usually has big spinny things and a lot of smoke. Just saying. And then what happened? what happened? They focused on the future of mobility, and all of the sticks, your little hometown, wherever you are, in the Midwest, in the South, everywhere, every single place, your deer trail, everywhere, where you go hunt, where you go fish, where you go to the store, everywhere, got these awesome platforms for public transportation, for bicycle paths. So you out there in the middle of nowhere in Texas, you can have to worry about some idiot on a bicycle path in the road out behind the cornfield 20 miles from everywhere. How wonderful cycling paths will be, pedestrian pathways, new ways to stimulate healthy living, because everything, everyone, everywhere is LA. Everything, everyone, everywhere is New York. How about you let Nebraska be Nebraska? How about you let Arizona be Arizona? How about you let Dakota be Dakota? How about you let Florida be Florida? But no, it's their way or the highway. You see, at the end of the day, it's a controlling spouse, an evil ex, a person manipulating you, saying you're going to be with me. You're going to hold my hand. You're going to be my arm piece, my candy. You're going to shut your mouth. You're going to do what I say. And that is that. It's my way or the highway. That, my friend, that is the Democrat way. That is the Green New Deal way. That's the Great Reset way. That's the NWO way. That's the Times Magazine World Economic Forum way. That is the way. You can put any name on it, any label on it. You can do anything you want to make it sound prettier. But the truth is the truth. The last thing on here is about Marxist training camps. It says government jobs become so desirable and competitive. This is the end of 2022. That a new curriculum is formed for a global master in public administration, a degree for people who want to become civil servants. So they will be trained to do their job correctly, trained in sustainability, trained to bring in the new normal, to bring in the new way of life, the socialist Great Reset. They'll be trained for sustainability. But what is this racism, this reset, this sustainability? What is it based on? What is it based on? Is it based on really helping people, really making people happy? No, it's based on turning you into a battery. Just like they said in The Matrix, it's based on making you shut up, sit in your chair, and be the complacent people from the movie WALL-E, sitting on the cruise ship in outer space, 700 pounds, watching reality television show on your iPad. That's what they want. So they can literally leech and suck the money out of you, line their pockets, and go play in the sandbox with their kitties. That is what these elites want. Don't let them. They want this. They want this, folks. They want your freedom in exchange for what they call your happiness. But I promise you, it will not be what you think it is. It won't. It won't at all. You see, these elites, they live a very different life, right? They live a life of opulence. They do what they want, when they want. The rules that apply to you and I, they don't apply to them. If they got a hankering for sushi right now, they could hop on their private jet and fly across the ocean. And half the time you and I could, they're not going to get into a fight over masks on the plane. They're not going to have their 2-year-old kicked off of an American Airlines flight because the 2-year-old can't wear a mask because they have special needs. These people do what they want, when they want. Donald Trump changed that. And they want it back. They want it back, folks. That's the main truth. The elite technocrats behind the global Great Reset. I want to read you some names here. This is coming from the World Economic Forum. All right? I want to give you an idea. This is from the UN Agenda 2030. All right? It talked about stuff from back in the day. This is just June 29th, 2020. There's much more recent stuff. But the old stuff always has the lies that weren't covered up. It always has the stuff that they miss that might be scrubbed now. So you want to look back and see who's actually working here. Number one, right? The first leading partner. All right. These are literally the companies and the people working with the Great Reset folks, the World Economic Forum, the OECD, all these people. or the OECD, excuse me. The first leading partner is Bill and Melinda Gates, their foundation. All right. And do you know who works with them? I'll give you a guess. Did you get it? The Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Ford Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the UN Foundation, and the Open Society Foundation. These are folks that are all about eugenics, population control. These are groups that literally think they're going to save the world by manipulating you and me. How about Avanti Communications? This is the second partner. That's a big company. The third partner is 2030 Vision. It's a tech partnership. All right, it connects them with companies like Microsoft, SAP, Frontier 2030 is a partnership that connects cross-sector organizations to advance technology solutions. Soylent Green is people. The fourth partner is Google. They provide all the cloud computing, AI solutions, and data on you and I that the Great Reset folks could ever dream to want and have. And they have it. They have it indeed. Of course, the fifth partner is MasterCard. It's MasterCard. It's CEO Ajaypal Singh Banga, and he's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. And he's also, he's also on the International Business Council for the World Economic Forum. And he is the CEO of MasterCard. Wolves right in our backyard. Wolves right in our backyard. Number 6, Salesforce, the company Salesforce. It's headed by a guy named Mark Benioff. All right, he's also one of the board of directors for the World Economic Forum. That's an American company, and he's on the board of directors for the people that Joe Biden quoted who are pushing the Great Reset, the destruction of capitalism, the downfall of the United States of America, and the replacement of it with a socialist heck hole. A socialist heck hole. I hope when I read about the FCC this upcoming week, because this upcoming week's going to be real fun. We got a lot of new technology coming in, new cameras, new everything. We're going to start going live very soon. I hope that we, I hope I lost my thought there. Oh my gosh. All right. You know what? Instead of wasting time and trying to ruin the show because I lost my thought, I'm going to get right back onto this. They have UNICEF in here. All right. UNICEF's in here as well. The United Nations Children Fund. So they can lie to you and tell you they're helping the kiddies. The UN global goals and leading partners are closely intertwined with the World Economic Forum's fourth industrial revolution. That's literally what they call this whole thing that's happening with the Great Reset and COVID and this upcoming thing. They call it the fourth industrial revolution. All right. It's a transhumanist plan. It's, quote, going to redefine what it means to be a human. It's going to redefine life in general. Every aspect of your life will be monitored and controlled by the government, and it will be for the betterment of humanity. It's in here. This is literally coming from Klaus Schwab. All right. He runs the entirety of the World Economic Forum. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form. I have to say that because he looks like that. He looks like one of the bad guys from the original, like John Wick, like one of those Russian dudes. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form, the fourth industrial revolution may indeed have the potential to robotize humanity and thus deprive us all of our hearts and souls. Again, that's what they want. They want to deprive us of our hearts and souls. They want to reset us all. They want us to be reset into a digital form, a currency-controlled, government-controlled digital form of slavery. Plain and simple. That's what they want. That's where this is heading. It's heading towards slavery. It's heading towards the destruction of our way of life. It's heading towards the socialist replacement of the United States of America. And if you don't believe me, I want you to think about something. All right? There's a lot of frustrated elites out there. And they're calling for drastic actions against regular citizens because they're fighting. All right? They're fighting the coming reckoning. Not the reckoning they mentioned earlier in this episode, but the reckoning that I'm mentioning. The reckoning that shows that the veil was lifted, the door was open, and we saw the emperor with no clothes. We saw what was going on behind the scenes, and it was disgusting, it was evil, and it deserved to be removed from society. They know what happens when the peasants get upset and try to overthrow the small group of people running things. They don't want that to happen. They want to go back to running the show in quiet, in solitude, in peace, behind the scenes, so they can do all the bad stuff that they've always done while still profiting off your back. And now they found a much more economic way to do it, by basically stuffing you in a tube of goop, like in the movie The Matrix, putting a bunch of plugs in you, sticking the thing down your throat, and trapping you in a virtual world while they extract energy from you, your labor, while they extract money from you to fund their evil debauchery.